What up, guys? Day 46, and today we're going to talk about relapses. This is a topic I wanted to cover for a long time, but I never really did any in-depth video about it because I just wanted to be able to communicate the idea better. And now that I'm on a longer streak, I feel that I could definitely talk about this topic a little bit more, get more in depth in it, and touch on everything because this is a big topic. Has a lot of little chapters to it, you know what I mean? Um, First thing I just want to say, I'm going to make a podcast episode on this topic as well, which will be longer and more in depth. I will be releasing that also tonight in the next 6 or 7 hours. So I'll leave a link in the description for the podcast, or you can go to the channel homepage there, and there's a little icon there beside the Instagram button. Okay, so the first thing is relapse. Why do we relapse? Let's get into the basics. The reason we relapse is because we're looking for gratification. We're looking for stimulation, and if we can't find it in relationships with people, food, alcohol, whatever, you're gonna relapse. You know, if you're not meditating, you're gonna relapse. If you don't have custody of your mind, the way that a police officer has custody of a dumb drunk on a Friday night, the same with your eyes. You're not gonna make it very far. The two most important things: meditation, okay, and then custody of your mind. You know, cold showers, things like this work too, but compared to having complete custody of your mind, I always say this. This is super important. The moment that you notice any fantasy at all, you have to X it out. Just imagine a big red X, boom, over the fantasy, and think about anything at all. This also usually means that you're not doing anything at the moment. You're being idle. You're sitting on your couch. You're laying in bed. You're messing around with social media, which is probably up there with cold showers on one of the main things you gotta get to. With cold showers, you have to start doing. Social media, you have to stop doing. Okay, stop messing around with social media. Stop following Instagram models. Stop looking at these clickbait photos at the bottom of Facebook pages with chicks with tight clothes on and things like this. This is gonna just trigger you nonstop. Get away from that. Stop being idle. Start doing something with your time. If you're not doing anything, I guarantee you, within an hour, maybe two, you're going to get a fantasy. That fantasy will turn into an urge. Once you have the urge, then you're in a danger zone, like an actual real danger zone. If you don't put on your shoes and get out of the house, the chances of that urge turning into a relapse or an edging session, which is a relapse, are super high, you know, and you're gonna fall down. Listen, the thing with relapsing, a lot of people beat themselves up psychologically about this. They have all this negative self-talk in their mind saying, "Oh, why can everybody else do it and I can't? I feel like I'm always reading and watching posts about people who hit high streaks, and I seem to be the only one that can't do it." Dude, trust me, every single person can't do it. Okay, the only reason you think that everybody can do it is because you're searching out these posts constantly to give yourself motivation. Okay, like me, for example, I had to try and fail for probably a year before I got a solid streak over 40 days. I couldn't believe it. I never used to think I had any problem. I still don't think I had a problem, whatever you want to call that. Like some people are actually addicted, you know, and they're addicted to like porn and fapping off. Like I was never one of those people, you know what I mean? I was very average when it came to stuff. But when I actually tried to take control of my animalistic brain, my caveman DNA, that's when everything changed. I realized how I was a victim to these simple prehistoric evolutionary traits that we have. And I just found it interesting that I can't control myself. You know what I mean? Like this dark cloud. It doesn't matter how many goals I would write down. Doesn't matter how many benefits I would write down that I want from all the overwhelming amount of reports on Reddit that repeat the same amazing benefits. It was pretty evident right away that this was something I needed to pursue and I needed to see for myself. But no matter how many times I would read that list, I would still relapse. I would go in like 14 days, 21 days or something like that, and I would have this huge fucking mental cloud where I couldn't solve a simple puzzle if I wanted to. I couldn't do a simple math equation if I wanted to. All I could think of on a repeated cycle is this fantasy and the urge. And then once that cloud comes over you, that's where most of my relapses happen. And the only way I ever took control of that was by learning that I just need to run outside. I need to run outside and I need to get my heart rate up. And anyway, it doesn't matter what you do. Go do push-ups. Some people do push-ups. Go do quick sprints in the park. Go speed walk or go run up and down stairs. Go on a bike if you have the access to a bike. Go to a gym. Walk. If it sounds like it's overwhelming, oh, I don't want to go to the gym, I'm tired. Just get on the treadmill and start walking. Start speed walking, okay? And then after 5-10 minutes of speed walking, you're like, oh, I could do a little bit more than this, and turn on the incline, shit like that. Anyways, get the heart rate up. That's all that matters. You'll notice within 20 minutes, half hour, that urge is not there anymore. That's the only way to save yourself. Just remember, just keep this in mind. Make this as a feedback loop. If I have an urge and I don't do anything about it, it is without a doubt going to turn into a relapse. Don't tell yourself, oh, I can handle it, I can handle it. No. And the urge starts with a fantasy. If you don't exit out by having complete custody of the mind, okay? And the fantasy starts from you being idle, sitting around doing nothing, watching mindless television or scrolling through social media, okay? Have something in your hands, do something, be busy, time block your days in the mornings. Anyways, I think that's the reason we relapse. What to do after you relapse. Okay, the first thing to do is don't start looking for YouTube videos and forum posts that justify the relapse and tell you, oh, it's okay to do it every 2 or 3 weeks. Just do it, but have a limitation on it, because that's not going to work. Okay, sooner or later you're going to be doing it every single day again. Okay, these people are only pumping out these videos because they know it's gonna have a good click rate. They know it's gonna rank their videos high. They're pandering to the crowd. They have low standards for themselves, and they know there's other people who have low standards for themselves also, and they know that they want to hear these videos. So don't give in to that. Don't be allowing these people to keep you down, okay, when you're able to achieve so much more. The way I always look at it is, when it comes to a long streak, it's that first 35 days you got to get over, 35-40 days, okay. It's like a plane, like an old plane which has a bunch of gunk built up in the engine that is trying to take off on a runway. And then you think of it. It's getting more and more speed. It's starting to bounce up and down on the runway. It's starting to blow smoke, right? And it's sputtering out. But after a certain time, and it gets to a certain speed, the smoke goes away. The gunk is burnt out of the engine, and it's getting faster and faster. And then there's a moment. There's a moment where the wheels officially lose contact with the pavement, and you're officially airborne. And that's momentum, that's traction, that's pride in yourself. Once you hit like 35 days, 40 days, you have so much pride in yourself. The temptation subsides so much. Whenever you have fantasies, it's so easy to just X them out and move on to the next thing you're thinking about. It's just that first little bit. I swear, that's the only analogy I could use that really accurately describes what I would feel. So yeah, after you relapse, don't let the chaser effect take control of you, because that's what's gonna happen. You're gonna start beating off, and then a couple times you'll do it in a day, maybe if you had a solid streak, and then you're gonna fall into your animalistic brain. You're not a caveman anymore. Okay, we look at the stars today. We're the only animals that can do this. Okay, you're not a fucking caveman. We don't live in caves. Okay, this is the technology revolution. Okay, join the crowd. But then again, remember, okay, most people aren't doing this. Most people aren't consciously doing this. You're a very small minority of people who are aware of this sort of knowledge, right? It seems like it was common knowledge before like the 1940s or something like that. It's crazy. I'm gonna get into that topic too. I can't believe it. That's why you still have people that admire the old musicians, the old like classical music and stuff like that, and classical works of art. How come we don't have any works of art today? How come we don't have any classical like type instruments, people who can master an instrument and show us their craft and art? Why is everything all auto-tune? This is a totally different topic on a different day. But it seems like around the turn of the century, or like 100 years ago, everything became sexualized. And I actually read this insane book. It's called, I'm going to start talking about it a lot now because I never knew this book existed, and it almost feels like a conspiracy theory for it to not exist and not to be common knowledge around everybody. It's called The Coiled Serpent. You can download it for free. Just Google it, and there's a PDF version. Just right click and write copy it to your computer, transfer it to your phone or your tablet, whatever. This is mandatory reading. This guy that wrote it is so intelligent. It's half the book is quotes by the most famous people. Anyways, this is a totally different topic. I'll get into it later. I'll talk a little bit more about it in the podcast. Um, so the first thing you need to do with when it comes to the chaser effect. Sorry, I'm ranting on like crazy. I just want to stay on topic and just give you just the meaty stuff, no fluff. Okay. So the first thing you want to do after the chaser effect kicks in, you absolutely after that last release, get dressed, put on those shoes, get out the door, get the heart pumping. Okay, that's the first thing. Get the heart pumping. Okay, I don't care how you do it. Just make your heart race. Okay, then go to the sauna. This is the trick. This is the key, man. Go to the sauna. Okay, make sure you do cardio before. I can't stress this enough. Then go to the sauna. In and out of the sauna sessions, 15-20 minute sessions. In and out of the sauna, freezing cold shower, the coldest you can get. In and out, in and out, in and out. Do like 3 or 4 sessions in the sauna like this. When you're in the sauna, make sure you're meditating, praying, whatever. I don't care. Just make sure you're being mindful and you're being like try to get a deep meditation. Somehow, I don't know what it is. This rebalances the hormones or something, or it does something physically to you, where the chaser effect is basically not there. And instead of fighting with yourself and getting depressed and trying and failing for the next 2 weeks, you can actually have a solid, legitimate chance of another good, long, solid streak. Okay, so that's how you beat the chaser effect. I don't know how nobody's ever talked about this and nobody's ever given this practical information. I don't know, maybe it's because I've tried and failed so many times that I just figured this out finally. The temptation will still be higher than usual, but nothing like the chaser effect will be almost non-existent. Okay. And then also the sauna makes you super sleepy, right? So make sure you're doing this. Make sure you're doing this, and make sure you go to sleep after, right? And make sure you hit your bed and you go to sleep, and that's it. You can have an amazing sleep. Okay, so after a long streak, a lot of people who relapse after a long streak because they get cocky, right? Don't let that be you. Always stay vigilant. Realize that you are a fucking animal. You came out of your mother's womb brutally addicted to this. This is how we survived as a species. This is our reproduction instinct. Our two main things, our two main drives in life are food and sex, right? It's to keep yourself alive and to reproduce. This is biologically, nobody's going to argue with this. That's why fasting from food has similar effects to NoFap, right? The longer you fast, of course, but most people aren't going to do a prolonged fast. Most people think it's like super dangerous. Also, that's another thing. Fasting is after a relapse. It's mandatory, absolutely mandatory to do 1 full day with no eating. Just 1 full day, absolutely no food the day after you relapse. You'll see how much more self-control you have. It's insane. It does something. All the religions tell you to do this. And also, religions are very interesting too. Like, people quickly scuff it away like it's some sort of cults and stuff. Like, if you're like militantly atheistic, like a lot of people that I've met, you're quick to dismiss religion. But what is religion? Religion is just gathering of information of hundreds of thousands of case studies, and people they all repeat the same thing. That's not a coincidence. They all know that immutable laws of nature, the universal laws of nature that don't ever change. Doesn't matter if it was 2,000 years ago or if it's today. They formed it into a science. That's what I like about Catholicism, because they really formed it into a science. Like, at some points when you read the works of Aquinas, like, dude, that guy was like actually scientific, man. Like, he was like super religious, but he was like actually scientific, and he was almost ready to become an atheist if you were able to prove to him something. But let's not talk about religion, okay? This is a different topic for a totally different day. Anyways, all the religions tell you to fast, right? To have better self-control. Why is that? That's so weird. It does do something psychologically. I've read plenty of papers of psychologists trying to explain this, why it is. I can't repeat it because I don't have the information in front of me, but it makes really good sense. When they say it, it makes really good sense why we have so much more self-control after 1 day of fasting. You don't have to do 72-hour water only fast. You don't have to do a week fast or nothing. Just do a 1 day, and you'll see how much your self-control increases. And if it's your first time doing a 24-hour, you'll see like, whoa, more than 24 hours, because you don't want to eat the whole day. You want to stop eating the night before and then not eat the next day, and then eat the day after that. So it'll be like, a good chunk of time will pass, 36 hours. You'll see you'll have like a euphoric feeling, you'll be extra sharp. If you drink coffee with some sort of fat in it, you're gonna experience some insane uh, mm, cognition, some increased mental benefits. I can't describe it. For me personally, when I'm on a streak, I could write an entire chapter of a book, which is also something I've been doing for a while now. Is I've been working on a book. It's not gonna be ready for a long time, but I want to make sure it's absolutely perfect before I let it go. So I know it's not gonna be ready for a long time, but the only way I could add to it is when I do a fast, then I break my fast with some coconut oil or butter or both mixed into some black coffee, and then it's like, and that's only in the morning, right? After a little bit of cardio, some light cardio. I feel like Superman mentally. Of course, I have to be on a NoFap streak. But even when I was on the NoFap streaks, I would see the massive elevation. And you have to make sure you don't eat anything or else it doesn't work. Um, yeah. So fasting increases your self-control and stopping yourself from relapsing. Cold showers, of course, is a big thing daily. Um, and like I said, the last thing I'm going to leave you with is this. A lot of the thing when it comes to relapsing is beating yourself up about it. Diluting and making yourself believe that there's something wrong with you when there really is nothing fucking wrong with you. You're just doing something that the other people are too lazy to do. They don't have enough self-discipline to do. They're too busy being an animal, being an animal, stuffing their face, watching porn, scrolling through social media, just all the things that feel good, keeping themselves in that comfort zone. They'll never make them a penny. They'll do nothing but create extreme anxiety and depression and problems in their life. They're not going to get respect from any human being by doing these things. You will, okay? Anybody who shows self-discipline, anybody who shows strong temperance and moderation, self-control is loved by anybody, okay? Unless the only person that's going to hate on the guy who's highly disciplined and in control of himself, especially the most basic needs like eating and fapping, releasing, like reproducing and staying alive. The reason we're so wired to eat is because we have to stay alive. The reason we're so wired to have sex is because we have to reproduce. Those are our two biggest goals. You ask any psychologist, anybody, biologist, whoever, they're going to tell you the same thing. That's our biggest drivers for motivation. If you can control those two things, you're going to have some extreme discipline. You're going to have extreme gifts given back to you by the universe, okay? I don't want to start sounding esoteric, but that's the only way to say it. Like I said, everybody loves a man who's disciplined. Everybody loves a man who has strong self-control. Yeah, and the only people that are going to hate on you for this, the only people are the people who have a lot of bad habits, a lot of vices, and they look at you and they think to themselves, "Oh, why can he do it and I can't? What, does he think he's better than me? Is he better than me?" They begin to question themselves and their own worth, right? And that's never a good combination for a lot of people, right? But those are usually people who have a lot of vice, right? Those are usually people who have some problems with their animalistic side, which is unfortunately more and more of the population is becoming like this. Anyways, I think I've said all I want to say in this video. I'm gonna dive deeper into this topic on the podcast. I'll try to record the podcast right now while this stuff is nice and fresh in my brain. But like I said, take the advice from here. It the advice may not be sexy. It may not be your magic pill, your magic solution, but there's no such thing as a magic pill or solution to any of this. You take it for what it is. You can either accept it now and do the things that I told you, or you can fall and try again, fail and try again, and you can come to the same conclusions sooner or later, okay? You only fail when you actually stop trying. That's the number one thing to remember. You only fail when you stop trying. If you instantly begin trying, then that's really good, man. You're already better than a lot of people. Anyways, for more information on this topic, I'll talk a bit more on the podcast about it. That way I can make some notes and things like this. So yeah, I'll leave the link for the podcast. Guys, stay strong. If you're in a streak right now, make sure you're staying on it. Take the tips from here. Don't get cocky. Don't get cocky. Whatever you do not get cocky. Don't stop meditating. Don't ever let yourself be idle. Okay? Always be doing something. Always be moving forward. Okay. I highly recommend reading the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin. He talks a lot about the people and how they stay idle and how it leads to a lot of bad habits. Anyways, that's it for today. Thank you so much, and I'll see you tomorrow.